Good morning and welcome to today's sermon. Today we're looking at the Gospel of Mark and the third chapter, and the passage that we read for this Sunday is verses 20 to 35. But there's really a lot going on in Mark chapter 3, verses 20 to 35. It's amazing how much the Gospel writer Mark can fit into 15 slim sentences. So what I want to focus on is an incident that happens toward the end of this story that we're being told. And this story comes from early on in Jesus's life, hence, being toward the beginning of the Gospel of Mark, chapter 3. And Jesus is doing his thing. It's early in his ministry, but he's preaching. And everyone's just like, oh my gosh, his preaching is so powerful. He has power over demons. Is he in league with demons? Maybe. And he's in his hometown. And there are pros and cons to being really talented and starting to get famous and being in your hometown. Now, you might imagine that someone who is internet famous is very comfortable in their hometown. And we've all heard stories, I've heard stories of Stephen King being very comfortable in his hometown and nobody bugs him and nobody gets crazy. This was not how it was for Jesus. In his hometown, everyone kind of wanted to dismiss him at first. Like, what? Is he putting on airs? Who does he think he is? We know who he is. He's Mary's son. So that was one of the prime reactions at first. And then they're like, oh, he's healing people. He's doing miracles. He's changing things. Well, let's go get him to do miracles for all of us because, we're entitled. He grew up with us. And by that point, Jesus was like, yeah, no. And when he said no, this comes a little bit after where we are right now. But when he started to say no, this is too much. This is not why I'm here. I'm not here for the neon and the bling. I'm here actually to teach you a lesson. They tried to kill him. They tried to kill him. They tried to throw him off a high cliff. So, sometimes it's hard to be famous and talented and at home. And that really speaks to the part that we're going to look at right now, because it's in the middle of that space. No one is saying, who the hell does he think he is? And no one is yet ready to kill him. We're in that in-between bit, and it's still not very comfortable. So there are rumors that he might be possessed by demons because, maybe that would give him power to throw them out of other people. And he's just like, no, does that even make sense? No. And apparently the word got back to his own birth family. Now, he's still in town, but he's not with his mother. He's not with his brothers or his sisters, which, according to this gospel, yes, he has. The widely embraced, largely Catholic belief that he has no other brothers and sisters, the gospel disagrees. So, anyway, word gets back to his mother and his brothers and his sisters. And his mother and his brothers, because, the sisters matter less, unfortunately. It was a misogynistic culture. The mother and the brothers come to try to take him home, to try to end this craziness, to try to make him shut up, to try to limit gossip, maybe to try to protect him. Who knows? Maybe they've heard rumors that people are going to try to throw him off a cliff. And they come and try to get him. And so they come to the house where he's staying, where he's preaching and where he's teaching. And he's inside with a lot of his new students and a lot of other people, and likely the owners of the house. And they're all listening to what he's got to say. And he's teaching, he's healing, he's doing his thing. And a message comes to him that says, your mother and your brothers are outside and they want to talk to you. And, you know, that's a tricky thing, isn't it? Because even in our culture, even in the 21st century, like, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign. And his response is typical Jesus. And by typical Jesus, I mean, he's doing his own thing. And he's not getting rude. He's not getting mean or cruel or nasty. But he's not going to do what you want just because you want it. And he's not necessarily going to answer the questions you ask in the way you want them to be answered. And he's not necessarily going to give you what you ask unless what you ask for is healing and peace. Now, oodles and oodles of times in all the Gospels, Jesus gives people exactly what they ask for when they ask for healing and peace. They're the only ones that Jesus will just do what they ask. Whenever anyone tries to trick him or trap him or manipulate him, he doesn't play along. He doesn't play along. So when his mother and his brothers come to obviously bring him home and shut him up, and the word comes to him inside the house, your mother and your brothers are here, and they're outside and they're asking for you. Jesus' response, not even to his mother and brothers, but to the messenger and to everyone assembled, is, who is my mother? Who are my brothers? All y'all are my brothers and my sisters and my mother. Mic drop. So let's think about this for a second. The culture in which Jesus lived and breathed and thrived was really, really strongly based in the nuclear family and in the larger family. And if his mother and brothers came to get him, that meant that his father was already dead. And presumably, from the stories, he was the oldest brother. So he actually had care of his mother unless he gave it over to the next oldest brother, which he might have done. And because, you know, he was Jesus, he probably did. So Jesus was, at that point in time, the patriarch of the family. He was the head of the family. And that means that it was a little tricky. But family was everything. Family was the most important thing. Far more so than in modern Western culture. But even in modern Western culture, the expectations that are put on us by our parents and our siblings and whomever in our family speaks with authority. So it could be grandma, it could be aunts and uncles, it could be whatever it is for you. When they ask us and guide us and lead us in the way that is good and healthy and right, it is such a blessing. It is such a gift to have someone for whom your trust in them is absolutely justified. They lead you kindly, gently, and faithfully. You trust them because they are able to put their own baggage to the side and guide you in the way that is right for you. When it happens, it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. But we all know it doesn't happen that way. Not always. Not for everyone. Not every child was raised that way, and not every adult child of parents and guardians had that experience. But for those among us who were raised with people who were less than trustworthy, people who could not put aside their own personal baggage and issues and pain and anguish to guide us in the right way for us, in the healthy way, in the sane way, to be faithful to that. What we have here, friends, is permission to say no. We have it straight from Jesus. When parents and siblings and family, even when they're trying to do right by us, when they give us bad advice, when they try to manipulate us into doing what is wrong, maybe wrong for the world, ethically, maybe wrong for us personally, when they try to guide us in the way that is full of darkness instead of full of light, full of illness and dread instead of full of health and joy, we are allowed to say no. Now, did Jesus just say no? Well, no, he didn't. He put it a little fancier than that. And he also got everyone to second guess the presumption that some people should be automatically trusted. Some people should have automatic authority. Jesus didn't believe that anyone should have automatic authority. You should give your trust based on the fruit of the actions of the people that you see, including God. And so, if you take home anything from this sermon, take home this idea. You never have to trust people who just want to manipulate you. You never have to say yes to people who are trying to order you around for their own sake. You don't have to stop what you're doing when the person who tells you to stop is not trustworthy. Jesus didn't. And he didn't do it quietly or silently. He didn't send a private message out to his parents, well, his mother and his brothers. He did it publicly. He made it into a teaching. And he taught his students then, and Mark wrote it down so it could teach us now. Amen.